You are listening to Maximum Pew Pew, an actual play RPG podcast. Maximum Pew Pew follows continuous storylines and are meant to be enjoyed from the beginning. This episode follows the Dead Sons storyline and may contain spoilers for the Dead Sons adventure path published by Paizo Incorporated. The following segments may contain mature themes and adult language. In this episode, the party arrives at the planet Eox to continue their investigation.
Any other questions you want to ask about
that's helpful.
Eox? Maybe the Ministry of Eternal Vigilance.
Yeah, that.
Or more info about Juanita.
All of
That.
those.
There's the other
Okay.
thing.
Well, we got information about Juanita.
The
She was a
constellation. Do
Starfinder.
they happen to have any info on that constellation? Like floating around?
12.
No.
Of course not.
Ministry of Eternal Vigilance. The Ministry of Eternal Vigilance is a bureaucratic branch of the Eoxian government, though a very small branch, to be honest. The Eoxian law requires citizens to report all corpse fleet activity they witness or suspect. The Ministry takes these reports and provides copies to interested parties as necessary, law enforcement agencies, the Eoxian Embassy on Absalom Station, or the stewards. In fact, Eoxian ambassadors and government officials make a dutiful show of regularly handing over all the Ministry's reports to the stewards. It's very important that the Packworlds know that the Eoxians are making every possible effort to disavow and eliminate the corpse fleet. It is a very thorough system designed to ease the fears of other Packworlds members and help Eox avoid blame for the corpse fleet's actions. Of course, in practice, the system is not so smooth. The Eoxians file precious few reports about the corpse fleet, given the planet's population. Some say there are a significant number of corpse fleet sympathizers among the residents of Eox's necropolis, as well as among the bone sages who rule the planet. Juanita Trucks is the director and only full-time employee of the Ministry of Eternal Vigilance.
Oh, jeez.
That sounds like a problem.
So her job is to compile corpse fleet data.
Yeah.
And it's one person for the whole planet.
Yeah.
Yep.
Can I ask a lore question?
Sure.
So the corpse fleet, bad, nobody likes it because it's why hasn't some people came together and just made a giant army to just eradicate it?
Because they're kind of...
Is the corpse
all
fleet
over the
just
place.
that crazy?
It's because it's that big. It's that big. I mean, you're
also seems
talking about like one of the most powerful military powers in the world, in the Pact worlds.
Okay.
The Eoxian fleet,
Yeah.
right? Who's as a civilization was so powerful consistently throughout time that they destroyed 2 planets, right? Yes, that happened, but way back in the day. But they were that powerful back then too, right? And was powerful enough both in technology and magic to convert 98% of their population into undead overnight, right?
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Half of their fleet decided, say, no, we don't want to work with the living, and up and left. Half of their fleet.
They're
Okay.
a very large force.
Yes. So if the U.S. military were to break in half, and one side were to be all like, we're just going to fuck with people, that would still be a very powerful military.
Or it might be,
Very
it
powerful
might just
half.
be like one carrier group. Just
Right.
goes off and does
Yeah,
its
it's
own
like
thing.
one Nimitz class carrier decides that it's
Yeah,
just
with all
not
of its
going to take it
destroyers and
anymore.
everything. They just decide, oh, well, we're going to go do whatever we want. We're tired of parking in the Red Sea. We're going to go visit Southern Africa. Whatever.
There is no parking in the Red Sea. There's only parking in the White Sea.
Well, right. But anyways,
They're very powerful.
anyways, it would cost more than it's worth.
Red Sea's reserved
Okay.
for fire trucks.
Again, 90% of what I say is just references to random
And-
shit.
And something to remember, too, is that the corpse fleet is made up of primary undead. So Eoxians are not necessarily evil undead. That is something that breaks in Starfinder, because there are neutral undead.
Yeah.
Okay. There aren't good undead, but there are neutral undead.
Speaking of breaking,
Oh,
you
boy.
guys really broke with the fact that she's the only full-time employee tracking this stuff. All reports of corpse fleet activity on EX cross her desk, at least officially, and her office keeps files on every reported incident. Unfortunately, there are also reports of Eoxian citizens who provide real information about the Corpse Fleet being intimidated or even attacked by Corpse Fleet sympathizers who believe Illibrians should not betray their own kind. This surely does not make Juanita's job any easier. Given the supposed ambivalence that many Eoxians exhibit toward the Corpse Fleet, it is perhaps no surprise that Ambassador Noor installed a non-Illibrian in this post. A human ghoul would likely be less intimidating than a powerful necrovite, and thus more likely to receive reports from citizens. In addition, a former human would have no sympathy for the Corpse Fleet as an Illibrian or other native Eoxian might. The last impression Ambassador Noor wants to give the Pact Worlds is that Eox is not taking the Corpse Fleet threat seriously. So
it doesn't appear to, with one employee.
Will Juanita help us find the Corpse Fleet? No, I do not believe so. Her job is strictly to take reports from Eoxian citizens regarding the Corpse Fleet. She is not a law enforcement agent, and her superiors do not want her or her ministry to get personally involved in such situations. However, she should be able to give you the most up-to-date leads about the Corpse Fleet's activities on Eox. Is Eox safe for you? Certainly, quite safe. All of Orphis is contained beneath an atmospheric dome, so even living creatures can venture about without taking personal environment protection measures. Juanita Trucks has agreed to allowed you the use of an empty office in the headquarters of the Ministry of Eternal Vigilance. The local authorities know that you're coming and that your Starfinder's on official business, so you should not have any official interference. On the other hand, I hear that many of Eoxia's undead citizens can be downright rude to the living, so you'd be wise to be prepared for anything. But Eox is otherwise quite safe, I assure you.
Just, they used to be living, so I don't understand what they're so, like, rude and stuff about it.
Because you're still human, though.
I guess it's just like West Virginia and like people here that are all like, the South will rise again, and then you're like, you realize that we really literally separated from the.
For that very reason, we separated. We didn't like them rising the first time.
So it takes you 4 days using conventional thrusters to arrive at Eox. Eox is a dead world with no seas or oceans, and what's left of its atmosphere is toxic, radioactive, both or worse. As you approach the planet, you are contacted by Eoxian space defense officials on the ancient orbital defense platform called the Sentinel, who request identification and your destination. Most interplanetary traffic to and from Eox goes through the domed spaceport called Pact Port, but your business lies in the necropolis city of Orphis. Fortunately, Orphis has its own small spaceport, so you are directed there. Once you pass through customs and immigration under the watchful eye sockets of undead officials, you are free to enter the city with your vehicles. Your contact Juanita Trucks can be found at the Ministry of Eternal Vigilance in a sector of Orphis called the Splice. Now, important question. Cyna, what does your Sange of All Nomads sound like?
It probably makes some approximation of a Harley noise, or like one of the speeders on in Star Wars. Sound like just like
the potato,
yeah,
potato.
Yeah.
Okay. Maia.
It sounds like Owen Wilson going, wah, no.
wow.
No, what it actually sounds like would be like this, kind of like the clean, more higher pitched sounding like sport bike. Like,
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Wow.
It sounds like someone who's just learning how to, like, wow. Ion, what does your Sange of All Nomads sound like?
I mean, definitely like a Harley. Like,
okay.
Not just kind of, sort of, maybe like one. Like, definitely. Like a Harley.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, when you hear it, you're like, is that a Harley? That's what happens. That's what happens when you hear his. When you hear mine, you're like, "Who's got that Harley?"
No. Like
then the time it takes to get the 5 blocks down, you're like, "That is a Harley."
Yeah, George Lucas making a spaceship sound like a bomber, like a World War II bomber.
Yeah. You know what mine sounds like? A freight train passing you on the rails at full speed.
Now, given my preference for stealth, I would ask that you
I can turn
Give
it.
me a
You can turn it
switch.
off, though, right? You can turn it off.
not
Well,
legally.
Not legally, but you could change.
I can hardwire a stealth switch into your.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean,
We're going to do that to all of them, just so we can be all like, "Oh yeah, we're totally going this way." Flip down the alley.
Zenka, what does your Sangeval Nomad sound like?
I can't help but beep beep. I
Only
can't-
in reverse.
I can't help but think I've got to make it sound like the orca, so it's going to be just kind of a very not an orca.
It should be in Orca,
No.
because that would be a thing of hilarity and
It
beauty.
speaks whale.
I can only do that once. No,
You do know that your bike is like cussing people out in Orca, right? Right, and we all speak. It's just really rude. Thank you.
No, so it's gonna be
The
like
whales
this
are
nice
happy.
soft whirring until I give it a boost. At which point
They
it
started
makes
a
this
petition.
fasten seatbelts ding, and you are not turning that off.
All right.
So,
The orca does have a really good spaceship.
I
voice.
love it so much.
so everybody, like, this is the first time you've really taken it off the ship, and you're trying them out, and you literally just look at GPS and find a route and like force it to get you on an interstate, so you can just open these things up. Yeah,
And then they all blow up.
I would like to spend a resolve to amp up my engine.
just imagine.
Well, that was fast.
Someone's gonna try a wheelie. Someone's gonna try an endo.
Ping!
Yeah, like two of you will have an impromptu race to see who can juice their engines the most. Like it's
Probably
just,
the actual pilot.
To be
I'm
fair,
like breaking hardware limits, blowing the engine up, and then not knowing how to drive on top of that. And it's like,
I have an
and
unfair
he's doing it
advantage.
by just shifting properly.
yeah, right.
Oh, good.
I'm the
So-
car fanatic that had too much time on the weekends and did things I shouldn't do.
Yeah. So you all are having a grand old time with your Sangeval vagabonds, taking them out on the road, like getting a feel for them. Learning traffic laws. That's fun.
It's on EOX. Anybody really care?
Yeah. Well,
Probably.
I feel like in a place where the majority of residents don't need to sleep, there's not going to be anyone that's like, God, they were so loud, they woke me up. Said no one ever on the Ox.
You know what?
Do they need to eat either? Is it like completely like
The hungry undead need to.
Yeah.
hungry?
Yeah,
undead?
Like
our-
ghouls
yes.
like our
to.
ghoul
I'm
friends.
about to
Yeah.
actually get into that. Orphis is one of Eox's great necropolises, but the Splice is one of the city's most unappealing districts. Largely industrial and utilitarian, the Splice is home to several necrograft factories which lay the unpleasant reality of this technology's fabrication bare. These factories are large, dirty, and unsightly. Most of the fusion of undead flesh and technology required to create necrographs takes place inside the factories, but other rather morbid processes also happen in these facilities' open-air grounds. This includes the cultivation of massive amounts of vat-grown, genetically synthesized living flesh, as well as the transportation of this unpleasant crop via flesh elevators up into the factories.
Flesh elevators.
It's the Impossible Burger.
When you call it that, it just sounds so
Well,
repulsive.
it's not the Impossible Burger because there's still like protein, like meat. Anyway, beyond the necrograph factories, the Splice is also home to rows of slum-like abodes where some of Orphis' poor and politically disfavored citizens live, including those few living species who have agreed to work for the Eoxians, often in the nearby necrograph factories, in exchange for the gift of undeath once their mortal forms have weakened. Of course, where there's population, there's also business to serve the residents, and the Splice is no different. However, local law enforcement rarely turns its attention toward the hardscrabble district, so many of the Splice's business proprietors are shady, even by Eoxian standards. Visitors are uncommon in the Splice, and amenities for the living are scarce enough to be nearly non-existent. Most of your time will be taking place in the Splice here. So, let's see here. The Eox's local day, which is as long as 30 pack standard days or 720 pack standard hours. So, like the rest of the Pact World's Eox defaults to a 24-hour Pact standard day, which makes timekeeping universal. But for the likely duration of your stay, there is a 15-day-long night and a 15-day-long day.
So it's like Alaska.
It is a 30-day long day-night cycle.
And you guys are halfway into the day cycle.
So we have 7 more days of day.
Practically. It is going to be daylight the entire
I feel like
time.
that's really inconvenient if you're a vampire. You're just like, I'll see you
but
in 2
look
weeks.
how far away the sun is. It's like this big.
I mean, so...
Yeah, but I kind of feel like the whole,
So
sun
is it, like,
kills
always
me
dark
doesn't
anyway?
distinguish between that.
Because the sun's so far
It
away,
might.
it's kind of
or else you just
dim
couldn't
out.
exist.
It's practically a dim light.
Wasn't it like the
anywhere that
square?
doesn't have artificial illumination.
So,
So
like it's a exponential curve how much energy you get the further you go away.
Oh.
That's why they can't use solar panels on most things that go past like into the deep solar system.
Yeah.
So
Because you can't get enough sun to power anything, so they got to put uranium in it.
you make it to the Ministry of Eternal Vigilance. A wide 2-story building of black and rust-dappled gray stands out from the other dilapidated structures on this densely packed block. A holographic banner above the sliding double entryway displays the words Ministry of Eternal Vigilance in Common and Eoxian. A smaller sign on the front doors declares that the office is open for at least 12 hours every Pact standard day, even if the stench from the nearby necrograph factory and the building's lack of windows and architectural accoutrements are less than inviting.
The stench from the nearby necrograph factory.
Wow.
It can't smell
It's a
good.
good thing that at least, the people back on Absalom Station think that they're taking this ministry seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Because it's a joke.
Right.
To all of Eox, they're like, we just do this because...
Because they said we had to.
Because
even
the lawful evil people say that we have
Okay.
to.
So
on the plus side, though, we have a former Starfinder here with government paycheck.
But then, like, the other side of things is, like, if Eox really isn't taking this seriously, are they taking, like, any of it seriously? Or is it just a big, like, coup to, like, make the Pact Worlds think they're playing nice?
So
Well,
I'm going to move
what it all comes down to
maps.
are you
that,
asking? Because that's your answer.
what it all comes down to is if we're talking military crap, Cyna is going to nerd out for a little bit and explain how the Eoxian fleet is the only reason you're not speaking Vesk right now.
Okay.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then let's talk about the swarm.
Let's not.
That took,
Yeah. Soldiers that
don't.
never need to sleep are very effective defense.
Yes.
God.
Right.
Yeah.
Because if the Vesk had run us over, well, they wouldn't be in a very good shape to help us fight off the swarm when it showed up.
What is the swarm?
The
So
swarm is basically
That's what.
imagine the alien species mixed with the bug aliens from Starship Troopers as a hive mind with spaceships that just
So
devour entire star
It's
systems.
pretty
so
as
it's
much
they
the
go.
Zerg.
It's pretty
Kind
much
of.
the
Yes.
Zerg or the
Similar to
Tyranids
the
for
Zerg.
40k.
It's like all of those tropes, and the Shirin only exist because one of the small hives of the swarm had a freak mutation where they essentially developed free will.
So
Yeah.
the swarm is a hive mind, but they adopt genetic aspects of their food source, which is why there's different types. And when they separate from the main body of the swarm, they kind of gain like an isolated conscience. And then when they reconnect to the swarm, that kind of what they bring in with them kind of universalizes across like the entire swarm. Well, the Shirin basically ate something that gave them independence, and they were isolated enough that
They never came back.
Yeah,
well,
they
just
became their own
They became their own
species.
species.
They separated enough, and it's bad enough that most Shirin have this innate fear of someday being forced back into that.
Right. They
Like,
fear
it's
someday
just-
they're going to wake up and
Yeah.
have a hive mind.
Yeah, so let's not talk about that, please. Thank you.
Right.
It makes me nervous.
And you know why
It's
we're not
not.
speaking swarm right now? The Eoxian fleet, unfortunately.
The Oxian fleet, the Vesk, like it took everything.
They're pretty amazing.
So,
So
here's
they
a-
can be crappy, I guess, as long as they don't actually turn on everything.
Right,
So
right.
here's
That's why we're being lawful neutral about it.
a nice little intersection here. Now, this street right here is Carpal Spur Street. The one perpendicular over there is going to be Bare Knuckle Way. And the building that you guys are actually in is this one.
Are they just literally named their streets after like bones in the body?
It's what they do. It's their shtick.
It's the ops.
Right.
I mean, like, why do I gotta be
Let 'em
creepy
have this.
edgelords about it?
Let them have this.
It's
Yeah, they've been doing it for
they destroyed their
millennia.
own planet. Just let them. Yep. So wherever you want to park those around the side of the building, whatever. So you make it to this place. There's a few businesses on either side too. So like this is. You go in during one of the 12 hours that they are open. The ministry's ground floor contains a large waiting room with rows of rusty and in some cases lopsided hover chairs. A tall boxing machine in the corner dispenses numbered tokens. Beside the machine, projected in the hologram on the wall, are instructions for reporting corpse fleet activity to the ministry. A wide front desk with a teller-like window faces the lobby at one end with a holographic numerical display. Behind the front desk, stairs lead to the second floor, though they are roped off with industrial-grade silver tape labeled "No Public Access." So when you go to this place, there are only two people present. There's a shabby human man sitting in the lobby and a female ghoul sitting behind the front desk, absently entering information from an enormous stack of papers into a computer terminal sitting on the desk. This is one of the people.
All right. He
An
looks,
actual human man.
Okay.
looks like he's been through a few too many fistfights.
And this is the other person.
Oh,
Alright.
that's attractive. An attractive ghoul.
Best quality.
Spoiler, she's not attractive.
She's not attractive.
Spoilers!
So she is she looks like she spent the last 200-300 years working the reference desk in the ghoul library.
So according to the instructions in the lobby, you should take a number token from the machine in the corner and have a seat. When your number is called, you should check in at the front desk where a ministry official will assist you.
Suppose we'll take
Alright.
a token.
Take a
Okay.
ticket.
Everyone takes a ticket.
Is the machine automated that, like,
Yeah,
calls out
it's
token
like you
numbers?
come over and there's like a holographic projection of what number's up. As far as like getting a token, like you just push a button.
So what's
and
the number on currently?
We'll say 23.
23.
And our number?
24.
Okay.
Okay. I wonder how often it resets. Can you hack the
Actually,
machine?
no. You've got
maybe I can
25.
just-
You've got 25. It's
All right.
on 23. But
Kind of just, hack the projector to be like, 25, please come to the front. Old man's like, wait a minute, what?
I don't understand.
Damn, machine's malfunctioning again.
so you're sitting here in the waiting room with this human, and like Juanita, essentially the only employee here, is like, like she's aware of the presence here, but like she's in the middle of something, so she can't really do anything about it. But yeah, he's here too. So what would you like to do to spend your time? Alternatively, just get super impatient.
I guess I'll ask this dude, like, what's a human doing here in EOX?
Says the human on
It
EOX.
says the human on EOX. Yeah.
I told you we need to work on your pickup lines.
I'm
very
here to
lonely.
file a report. I'm here to file a report. I imagine you are here to do the same.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's why we're here.
Okay.
I mean, that is why we're here.
Kind of. We're here to get the reports.
What?
We're here to do a little bit of both.
Oh, you're okay.
Little gives me, takes me. You've been there, you've done that.
Well,
Leave a credit, take a credit.
So he, all right, coming off that pickup line, like he doesn't know what else to say. So anyone else like to...
I don't think any of us do either. So
Everyone's looking at me, including myself. Like I pull out a mirror and I'm like, "What's going on?" No, don't do that because that would be weird. Because that would be super weird.
That would be the weird thing you've done.
Don't act awkward. Don't act awkward. Oh no,
That was out loud.
that's so.
I'm just gonna,
coaching
like-
yourself to not be awkward.
I'm just gonna like casually walk away.
It's a good thing that this is a
Moonlight
small
waiting
waiting room. Yeah.
Yeah. Sit in a chair.
So
Fantastic.
where'd you see the corpse fleet?
Read Unlifetime.
Oh, so
On Life magazine.
Unlife magazine.
It's got the best pictures.
Best political cartoons.
Well, it's because that there is a coworker of mine who is an absolute jerk and got it on good authority that he's a corpse fleet sympathizer.
Oh, okay.
Sense
So you didn't like...
Yeah, because we were about to ask.
Oh, I don't have a sense motive.
You can roll it
yeah.
anyways.
8.
15.
17.
So what this is actually like the witch hunt, like
One.
the McCarthy era witch hunt. Well, this guy is a corpse fleet sympathizer.
Yeah, also, he got that raise that I wanted.
Right.
That makes sense.
So you uproot somebody's life for who knows how long until they finally, oh yeah, this dude isn't. Or he's blacklisted.
Well, nobody
Yeah,
would lie about
I,
that kind of thing. Why would they lie?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's telling
If
the
you see
truth.
something, say something.
Sweet.
If you want to talk to him a little bit more, you can make a diplomacy check. Just make some small talk because it's captive audience, no one else. He's
stuck.
10.
10. That's
Oh, God.
What makes you think that he is a sympathizer? 19.
Oh, nice.
19.
Yeah.
He just talks about him on occasion. Like, it's just, he's kind of an overall jerk. Like,
Oh,
I don't know
those-
why he's even...
All those people is like, oh, living this, living that.
Well, yeah, and it's stupid because he's a half-elf. Like, I don't see what... I mean,
You mean he's not even undead?
he's not even undead. I mean, I will be in, like, 3 years. Well, 3... Y'all local?
First
Yeah.
time in town.
Okay, so, like, 15 years.
Okay.
But 3 of these...
Gotcha. Yeah.
Years.
No, I am a spacer, I understand.
Yeah. So
15 Absalom Station years.
yeah, I mean,
Just like counting that down.
Well, it's like retirement.
yeah, but I mean that's the agreement I made. Like I give service, you make me undead. Like that's just the deal.
So
That's
I've always
the way
been
to
kind
live
of
forever.
curious about that. Why you? I mean, I guess I think about it.
There's so much of the galaxy to see.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean,
Once you become undead, you don't die of natural causes. You just die if somebody shoots you dead.
yeah. I mean,
That's fair.
that's my thought. Body's not that great anyway, so
Don't get
use
shot.
the crappy years I have left. Come
Yeah.
undead. Enjoy the galaxy. Undead are really positively looked upon too. Now it's not the same stigmas as before. So.
Well, you're not wrong, I guess. It's a good way
Yeah.
to travel for
I mean,
eternity.
everybody likes Zoe.
Yeah,
That's true.
his shows are
Everyone
great.
does like that.
I mean, I'm never going to be a Zoe. I mean, he points at himself again here. He's under no delusion that he's in his Zoe, but he's been at it for literally no one knows how long he's been at it.
Right.
Yeah, and whatnot. But yeah, there's plenty to see, and my life wasn't great to begin with. So,
What do you do for work?
I work over at the. He points across the street. I inspect the flesh. So over at Flesh Worn Fabrications, I make sure that they fit the specific sizes and shapes that they use for like the ocular necrographs.
Oh, okay.
Quality assurance.
Yeah, and the Frenzel, the slacks off pretty frequently. I mean, I don't think he takes his job very seriously, and he just gets preferential treatment.
Yeah, I can get how that would be.
And
That would definitely align him with the corpse fleet.
Yeah, absolutely. So your diplomacy check was enough to make him like friendly.
Yeah. These dice.
He'll tell
I
you
would
about.
give those to you, but those are my favorite dice because they're new and yeah.
I have game
they're-
science dice somewhere in its own little baggie, and I haven't found it. I don't know where they're.
So yeah, it's like there's and people are friendly too. A lot of people say they're pretty unfriendly humans and stuff. I got a good friend of mine. His name's Voxel. He's one of the corpse folk. He does he's a flesh brewer. So
Everything sounds so disgusting.
yeah, and we're pretty good friends. He's also had some issues with Frenzel. You ever have any business over at the flesh brewer or the flesh worm fabrications? You ever have to deal with Sean? He does some of the stuff with public. Let him know that well, no, his name's Sean. Sorry. If you ever see Voxel, tell him Sean.
What?
He's a good friend of
We
mine.
could flesh warp these motorbikes.
Flesh brew.
That's how they got shot.
Flesh brew. That sounds like a really bad IPA.
Like you're.
Or a
Undead
really
dwarves.
good one.
Okay.
I'm not an IPA.
There's no
fan.
such thing.
Thank you.
A little like a
Maybe it's because it's not made of flesh.
sort of like one of the more unpleasant buzzers you've ever heard, like goes off as like the number progresses to 24. Sean Golding, he'll introduce himself. It's like, that's my number. So
Yeah,
he
do your
sits-
thing. Do your thing.
He
Round 'em
sits
out.
up there, gives
Base snitch.
I will elbow.
gives
Oh,
Juanita
sorry, is that inappropriate?
gives Juanita the report. Juanita doesn't really ask like for a lot of follow up questions. She takes notes. And after she gets all the details she wants, she dismisses him and thanks him for her time. And she doesn't take much time like writing this. Kind of puts it in a folder, sets it aside. 25.
I got this. I'm gonna walk up to the desk and take that Eoxid military badge that we picked up. Just drop it on the counter. Or that corpse fleet badge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just drop it.
Look at her.
She'll kind of stop and
Probably still some flesh
put
attached
that
to it.
up and just she'll look up from the desk and meet eyes with you. I'm like,
You're probably expecting this.
see.
Yep.
The only halfling in all of Eox.
And Zenka, Ion, and Maia. She lingers on that a little too long for comfort.
Oh no.
Does she have hungry eyes?
Always.
Are all ghouls hungry?
What is your race
It
again?
comes with being
Now,
a ghoul.
part of the whole brewing flesh is so that they have a food source for the undead that have to eat, but they don't have to use like living people to feed them.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, it's disgusting. Okay.
But it's people DNA.
Yeah, it's
You can either make fake people or feed them real people. Those are your
and the
choices.
packed world have some problems with eating the real people, so let's make fake flesh. So she says, so I speak with Mr. Golding there. Okay, he's that was pretty much an outright fabrication, I think.
Why do you say that?
I believe
Uh,
you.
You know what?
He had no details, and I could just kind of tell by his delivery.
You know, we've had a chance to run into a couple members of the Corpse Fleet, and they were all a lot more effective than the guy that he was talking about. And a lot more motivated.
Not by much, though.
There's
especially that last group.
I mean, there.
Well, okay. Okay.
And the guy
What
before
last
that
group?
we didn't meet until after someone else took care of it.
Yeah. Julienne Fries. Yeah, he was.
Yeah,
well,
Julienne Fries.
Julienne Fries.
Julienne Fries was kind of messed up.
She's unamused by the inside jokes that you're kind of like rattling off in rapid fire.
I suppose Julian does have a name. I just never bothered to read it off his ID. Thinking for a moment, he was a sentient. I kind of look at his ID. Okay, at least I know it now.
So the funny thing is that we're looking for info on the Corpse Fleet, and we're told that you're the person that can give it to us.
Probably the
I
preeminent
was,
expert.
I was made aware of your arrival.
Mm.
Ambassador Noor has spoken highly of all of you,
Mm.
and has really enjoyed working with all of you.
Is that Ambassador Bob?
Yep.
So,
The box guy.
She's got a text box here. Starfinders. The bug sent you, huh? The stuff people report to me is mostly garbage, right? Petty, stupid complaints about the neighbors, or outright lies about rivals and enemies, and none of them have anything to do with the Corpse Fleet. Still, once in 1,000 moons, we actually get a legitimate lead or two. When that happens, I forward the reports to the government, who passes them on to the authorities and the Pack Council, and all Pack Worlds, or so I'm told. This time, I'm giving them to you. If you want to use them to go after the Corpse Fleet, be my guest. Literally, since I was instructed to set aside a room upstairs for you. It's yours for as long as you're here, as an office and as a bedroom, since you lot still need sleep, I guess. But don't rush your business on my behalf. I just love strangers, especially living ones I can't eat, staying in my office, particularly when my boss is pretty much forcing me to play host. Juanita smiles disagreeably, revealing sharp, scraggly teeth and a long, curling tongue.
We've already got a host.
So people made undead? Are they the hungry undead?
So
just random?
the Eoxians are all undead, but they're not hungry undead. They're just like, they don't need to eat, they don't need to do anything, they just hang out.
Yeah, the big
Right.
important ones are kind of more like liches than anything else.
Right, but like a ghoul needs to eat, or else it basically like withers away into
Goes
dust.
sterile.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah,
And
then
if
it will
yeah,
eat.
yeah, like if it doesn't eat, it goes insane.
And that's every person who's made into an undead.
Well,
Not
Some of
necessarily,
them.
just certain types of
a
undead.
ghoul is a specific type of undead.
Okay. So when Sean goes, I want to be undead, does he just pick, or does it just...
It's
let
probably
them
what he can
draw?
afford, to be honest
Whatever
with
they
you.
have
Oh,
to make
okay.
him.
It's honestly, it's probably what he can afford.
Okay.
You know, like if like
Ghouls are cheaper.
yeah,
You only put in 30 years of service. This is the only models we have for you.
So,
Okay, makes sense now.
so you guys are on pretty good terms. You can tell that she's straining to try to behave, because normally she's probably a pretty unpleasant individual. I've got 2 reports that came in during the last week. They're the only ones with any merit at all recently, and to be honest with you, the authorities might get to investigating them soon, but I'm willing to bet your business is more urgent.
The authorities can investigate them too.
I did do the thing. They are perforated.
What happens
For
if we
your-
report her as a sympathizer?
They would laugh at us.
They're perforated for your ripping enjoyment. Or folding enjoyment, whatever you want to. So,
Oh, you're not going to give me something perforated and me not share it.
exactly.
Are these all the same?
That was satisfying. Thank you, Jared.
These
Or
are
we get,
all the
like-
same.
okay.
You all have a...
I don't know if we got
Alright.
like 8 different ones.
So,
We downloaded to our pads.
This is lovely.
So, the
Perforated
first
is so
incident, Corpse Fleet Incident Report filed by Voxel Darksid, Necrotype/Species, Corpse Folk, Librium. Address, 43 Sethrock Commons, Upper Vamsbank, Orphus. Occupation, flesh brewer. Employer, Fleshworm Fabrications. Available for follow-up interview? Yes, at work only. Filing date, 4 Cthulhu 317 AG. So, recently. Recorded by Juanita Trucks Director. Incident of suspected corpse fleet activity. Sometime between the hours of 11:30 and 1300 yesterday, an entire vat of flesh disappeared from Fleshworm Factory's flesh yards. Upon discovering the flesh was missing, I found a badge with corpse fleet insignia next to the empty vat. I also recorded a digital photo of the badge's location. Seems pretty obvious to me that the corpse fleet stole the vat flesh for some unknown purpose.
Or somebody just stole it and then left a badge.
Yep.
Yeah.
Um,
Somebody was hungry. They need a giant pot
No.
of flesh.
Not at all.
Number 2, incident report filed by Gretel Rappinder, a bone trooper, Elybrian, address 5236 Bare Knuckle Way, Splice, Orphis, so pretty close to where you guys are. Navy trooper, retired from the 5th Squadron Eoxian Navy, available for follow-up interview. Filing date 6 Cthulhu 317. On or around 000 on 4 Cthulhu, my flatmate Harveen Nesix, also 5th Squadron vet, left our residence saying she needed to purchase new outerwear, a curious task, especially considering the late hour. In any case, she never returned to the flat. This morning, same day, I entered her quarters and discovered that most of her belongings were gone, but I found a scrap of paper on the floor that looks like it fell out of her journal. Harveen keeps a real paper diary that she actually writes in with a stylus. On the scrap, Harveen wrote about her disillusionment with current Eoxian policy and her intention to join a contingent of the corpse fleet that she is currently operating in Orphis. I believe that Harveen has left the Splice to enlist in the corpse fleet.
So this gives us a basic timeline of operation of activities here, actually.
Yeah.
So the question is,
We can go talk to Voxel.
where are we in Orphis?
The Splice. So here's the deal. Juanita will chime in. You probably should look into both of these as soon as you can. The flesh brewer works at Fleshworm Fabrications. He said to ask her at the factory's back gates, which are right across the street from here. This building.
Okay.
No,
And,
you are
like,
here.
Sean was all like, yeah, just tell him like Sean sent you over to talk to you. And he'll be like, oh, these people are good people. I can talk to them.
That's how we get shot, by the way.
That delightful
Oh,
stench you
Sean said
smell
you
is
bang.
from the flesh vats in the factory yard. I suppose you don't like it much, but it just makes me hungry. The retired trooper lives down the way. She's retired, so she should be available whenever. What else does she want to do? If there's anything else, I guess you can ask me.
All right, we'll talk to you if we need to.
So if you get like turned into a ghoul, you're a hungry undead. Can you eventually later pay more money to be a not hungry undead, or is it one and done?
I mean, that's essentially what species you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got one life. Spend it well.
Okay.
Yeah. I
suppose
it's
you can
basically what you can afford. From my understanding, or what it's hinted at, is that it's basically what you can, like, in Pact Worlds, is what you could afford. So, like, you could become a greater undead, but that doesn't mean you could afford to become a greater undead that's not hungry. Because there are greater undead that are hungry, like vampires.
Yeah. Okay.
So, as a result of you being on good terms with Ambassador Nor, Juanita says that she has been instructed to give you all a additional stipend while you are on the planet to make any purchases of supplies that you need.
quote unquote living expenses.
We've got
It's going to be nothing but
so
undead
many
jokes.
rations, dude. We're good.
Did you see that picture I sent in the group chat?
Do we have any flesh rations?
We should
What you
give-
need to
We
understand
should
is
give her
that
some of the jelly for her.
yeah.
For her
What you
flesh
need to
stew.
understand is that our null void chamber is literally just full of rations and grenades.
Mostly rations, though.
Mostly rations.
So if you want a flavor explosion, quite literally, we've got you covered.
Flavor explosion of Flavor Town.
Oh,
This
no.
donkey sauce everywhere.
Title music for Dead Suns is provided by Overclocked Remix and created by CFX. Find more great game remixes at ocremix.com. Ambient music provided by Tabletop Audio. Original 10-minute ambiances and music for games and stories. Find out more at tabletopaudio.com.